Imagine waking up to a certified letter on your doorstep, accusing you of visual pollution because your recycling bin was 2 inches too far from the curb. That's how my nightmare started in the picture-perfect hell of Oak Ridge Meadows, where the lawns are greener than envy and the rules are tighter than a cheap facelift. But little did Evelyn Cartwright know, the HOA queen bee who declared war on my non-conforming lifestyle, that she was buzzing right into the web of a guy who makes a living unraveling lies for the local paper. There I was, Ethan Mallory, sipping black coffee on my front porch at dawn, the kind that burns your throat but clears your head after a night chasing deadlines. The neighborhood was stirring like a well-oiled machine, sprinklers hissing in unison, joggers in matching athleisure pounding the sidewalks, and the faint whiff of fresh mulch that screamed suburban perfection. I'd moved here 6 months ago after a nasty divorce that left my reputation in tatters. Whispers about me being a homewrecker followed me like bad cologne, even though it was all baseless gossip from my ex's circle. I kept my head down, focused on rebuilding as a freelance investigative reporter, digging into small-town scandals from my home office. Oak Ridge seemed ideal. Quiet streets, good schools for when my son visited, and an HOA that promised harmonious living. Harmonious? My ass, it was a dictatorship disguised as a welcome packet. Evelyn Cartwright ruled this beige kingdom with an iron fist wrapped in velvet gloves. Picture a former corporate exec turned HOA president after her own messy split, now channeling her bitterness into enforcing bylaws like they were sacred scrolls. She patrolled in her golf cart, binoculars at the ready, noting infractions with the glee of a kid spotting candy. Community standards, she'd coo at meetings, her voice syrupy sweet, but her eyes sharp as tacks. Most folks nodded along, too scared of fines to question why their flower beds needed board approval, or why holiday lights had a decorum deadline. Me, I played nice at first, waving hello, even baking cookies for the block party. But Evelyn had me in her sights from day one, maybe because I worked from home, or perhaps because my beat-up sedan didn't match the luxury SUVs lining the drives. The first skirmish hit like a paper cut, a notice about my unsightly mailbox, which apparently violated Section 3.4.2 for not being architecturally harmonious. I fixed it. No big deal. But then came the big one. I'd posted a mild rant on the neighborhood Facebook group about the HOA's ridiculous pet policy, limiting dogs to under 20 pounds, as if bigger pups were gang members. Come on, folks, I typed. Let's loosen up. My boy's golden retriever visits twice a month and hasn't eaten anyone's azaleas yet. Harmless, right? Wrong. Evelyn swooped in with a public reply. Mr. Mallory, such inflammatory language undermines our community's values. Consider this a warning. The comments exploded, neighbors piling on with, think of the children, and rules are rules. I deleted my post, bit my tongue, but inside, my reporter instincts twitched. Why so defensive over a dog joke? Days later, the certified letter arrived, thick as a brick, smelling of laser printer ink and self-righteousness. Formal violation, dissemination of disruptive content, it blared. Evelyn had escalated my online quip to an official complaint, claiming it incited discord and violated the HOA's communication covenant. Penalty, $200 fine, plus mandatory attendance at a Harmony workshop. I chuckled at first. Harmony workshop? Sounded like group therapy for control freaks. But then she CC'd my editor at the County Gazette, hinting at professional misconduct. That's when the mics dropped in my head. This wasn't about a post. It was personal. Evelyn was flexing, testing if I'd roll over like the others. Little did she know, I'd spent years exposing embezzlers and crooked councilmen. Bullies like her, they always left breadcrumbs. I played dumb, sending a polite email, MS. Cartwright, happy to discuss. Perhaps over coffee. Her reply was a masterpiece of passive aggression. Mr. Mallory, as president, my schedule is dedicated to community welfare. Please remit payment to avoid escalation. Escalation? Oh, honey, you have no idea. That night, nursing a beer on my back deck while crickets chirped mockingly, I fired up my laptop. Public records are a reporter's best friend, free, anonymous, and full of skeletons. Evelyn's HOA presidency? Elected unopposed after the last guy quit amid health issues. Digging deeper, I found Cartwright Consulting, her side gig managing HOA finances for Oak Ridge and 2 nearby subdivisions. Conflict of interest? Nah, she called it efficient synergy. But something stank like over-fertilized grass. Why was the HOA budget ballooning while common areas looked the same? The whispers started subtly. At the grocery store, Mrs. Alvarez from down the block averted her eyes. Heard you're causing trouble, she muttered. Trouble? Me? Then my son called. Upset. Dad, why are people saying you're a troublemaker online? Evelyn had amplified the drama in the group, posting anonymous concerns about my divisive influence. It was classic smear tactics, paint the newcomer as the villain to rally the sheep. I smiled through gritted teeth, replying to queries with just a misunderstanding. But inside, I was cataloging every move. Journalists rule. Document everything. Emails, screenshots, even timestamps on her golf cart patrols. Then came the door-to-door campaign. Evelyn, clipboard in tow, knocked on neighbors' doors like a missionary saving souls. I overheard her from my window. We must maintain order, dear. Mr. Mallory's attitude threatens our property values. Imagine buyers seeing such unrest. Unrest? From a dog post? The irony burned. She collected signatures for a community pledge against disruptive elements, presenting it at the next HOA meeting like she'd unearthed the Dead Sea Scrolls. 8 signatures out of 50 homes. But she crowed about overwhelming support. I attended, sitting in the back of the stuffy community center that reeked of stale coffee and desperation. Friends, Evelyn beamed, her pearls gleaming under fluorescence. We're protecting our haven from those who flout the rules. When I raised my hand, her smile tightened. Yes, Mr. Mallory, just curious, I said mildly, about the budget line for consulting fees. Seems high. The room shifted uncomfortably. That's proprietary, she snapped, voice honeyed but edged. Next question. That sealed it. Back home, I cross-referenced records. Cartwright Consulting billed the HOA $15,000 monthly for administrative services. Vague as fog. But public filings showed Evelyn as sole owner, funneling funds back to herself. Kickbacks? Check the contractors she recommended for fixes. All linked to her ex-husband's network. Pattern emerged. Target vulnerable folks, widows, low-income families with nitpicky violations, then steer them to pricey fixes that lined her pockets. Mrs. Alvarez got fined for faded shutters, fixed by Evelyn's guy for triple market rate. The veteran next door, unauthorized flagpole, repaired via her referral. It was a racket, pure and simple, hidden behind community standards. The humor in it all, black as my coffee. Here was Evelyn, preaching morality while robbing her flock blind. I chuckle alone at night, imagining her ironing her power suits while plotting fines. But the crying while laughing moments came from her escalating absurdity. One morning, a code inspector showed up, summoned by her anonymous tip about my home business violating zoning. He poked around my office. Laptop, files, nothing fancy. "Sir, this looks like working from home," he said, bewildered. "Exactly," I replied. "She claims it's a media conglomerate." He laughed outright. "No violation. But off record, that lady's filed bogus reports before. Watch your back." My boss called next. Voice tense. "Ethan, got a letter from some HOA prez claiming you're using work resources for personal vendettas." "What's this? Vendettas?" I explained, but the seed was planted. Evelyn was weaponizing my job, hoping I'd buckle. Instead, I rallied quietly. "Coffee with Mrs. Alvarez. She's fining me again for my tomato plants, unsightly agriculture." We shared stories, her eyes widening at my findings. Soon, a small group met in my kitchen, 5 neighbors, casseroles in hand, voices hushed. "She's got spreadsheets," one whispered. "Targets the broke ones," Dr. Patel added. "Recommended her plumber for my non-compliant faucet. Overcharged by $500. Dots connected, fraud, extortion, all under HOA guise." Evelyn's paranoia ramped up hilariously. She installed security cameras on common areas, pointed suspiciously at my house. "For safety," she posted online, but it screamed surveillance state. Neighbors grumbled. "Feels like Big Sister watching." Her posts grew unhinged. "Certain elements are conspiring against our values." Conspiring? We were just chatting over pie. The black comedy peaked when she called a special meeting at 3 p.m. on a weekday, working folks excluded. I took the day off, showed up to her surprise. Her PowerPoint? A farce. Slides of my offensive posts, photoshopped to look inflammatory. Stats claiming property dips due to discord. "We must find disruptors $300 daily," she urged. The vote? Rigged. 4-1 in her favor, with her cronies nodding like bobbleheads. But I timed my counterpunch. As fines piled up, $9K threatened, I leaked anonymized docs to the state attorney general. HOA fraud alert. My tip read, with evidence attached. The response? Swift. Investigators dug in. Warrants flew. Evelyn, oblivious, doubled down with the emergency levy. $1,500 per home for legal defense against agitators. Panic ensued. Calls flooded my line. "Ethan, she'll take our homes." The satire? Her demanding money to fight the fraud she perpetrated. The climax hit at the annual meeting. Auditorium packed with 90 souls. Air thick as Evelyn's makeup. She strutted on stage. "Tonight, we reclaim our community from troublemakers." Slides rolled. Budget woes blamed on resistance. Murmurs rose. I stood. "Ms. Cartwright, about your consulting fees." She faltered. "Irrelevant." But I held up printouts. "Bank records show $200,000 siphoned to your firm. Kickbacks from contractors. Targeting the vulnerable." Gasps echoed. Her face, priceless, red as her blazer, stammering, "Lies. I'm protecting values." Then, the doors swung open. State investigators. "Evelyn Cartwright, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, racketeering." Handcuffs clicked as she wailed, "This is tyranny." Irony? transported in a van past the homes she'd fleeced. Applause thundered as I explained. Full refunds coming, her empire crumbling. Months later, Evelyn got 24 months in federal pen, her plea deal spilling on more scams. We recovered $500,000, reformed the HOA into a democratic haven. Property values? Thanks to fraud-busting fame. Neighbors bonded, block parties. No rules nonsense. My rep? Polished. Stories flowed freely. But here's the kicker. Was Evelyn the real villain? Or just a product of a system that lets clipboard tyrants run amok? You tell me. Is it ever okay to bend rules for order? Or does that always breed monsters? Drop your thoughts below.